Order in the court. All rise. The Honorable Madam Justice, fair name, presiding.
You may be seated.
The case of Regina versus Potter, my lady.
Thank you. Are all parties present?
Yes, my lady. I am Emily Safi. We are acting on behalf of the Crown in this matter.
My lady, I am Kevin. This is my friend Kaden. Yeah. We are acting on behalf of the accused Harry Potter.
Thank you. Harry Potter, please rise to hear the charge.
Harry, you are charged on that, or about the 3rd day of November in the year 2019. You did unlawfully cause the death of Professor Kroll and thereby commit murder on the 2nd degree. How do you plead?
Not guilty. Thank you, Mr. Registrar. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I shall begin with some general comments on our roles during this trial. Throughout these proceedings, you shall act as judges of the facts, and I the judge of the law. Although I may comment on the evidence as the judge of the facts, you are the exclusive judges of the evidence. By the same token, when I tell you what the law is, it is my view of the law that must prevail. There are 2 basic principles that are fundamental to your part as jurors. They are the requirement for proof beyond a reasonable doubt and the presumption of innocence. The requirement for proof beyond a reasonable doubt means that no person accused of an offense can be found guilty unless the Crown proves each and every part or element of that offense beyond a reasonable doubt. Similarly, our system of law requires that an accused person be presumed innocent until proven guilty. Harry Potter has no obligation to prove that he is not guilty or to explain the evidence offered by the Crown. The law presumes he is innocent until you decide otherwise. Before calling the Crown Counsel to give their opening statement, I will tell you something of the offense which Harry has been charged. The Crown has charged Harry Potter with 1 count of 2nd-degree murder. Before you can legally return a guilty verdict on the homicide, the Crown must prove the following elements beyond a reasonable doubt. First, the identity of Harry Potter as the offender. 2, the time and place of the offense. 3rd, that Harry Potter killed Professor Quirrell. 4th, that Harry Potter killed him wrongfully. And 5th, that Harry Potter intended to kill the professor. I now call upon the Crown to proceed with their case.
My lady, we intend to prove that Harry Potter killed Professor Quirrell, and he did so knowing it was illegal contrary to S2351 of the Criminal Code of Canada, therefore committing 2nd-degree murder. To prove our case, we intend to call the following witness: Lord Voldemort's spirit, Rubeus Hagrid, Hogwarts gamekeeper, and Professor Snape, Hogwarts teacher and potions master. We now wish to call our first witness, Lord Voldemort.
Do you swear the evidence you shall give be the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
State your name and address for the court, please.
I am Lord Voldemort, and I reside in the Forbidden Forest.
Voldemort, please tell the court what happened on the night of November 3rd, 2019.
Around 10:30 p.m., Professor Quirrell and I went to check on the magical Sorcerer's Stone, which is located on the 3rd floor of Hogwarts Academy to make sure it was safe.
Why is the stone so special?
It has unlimited power. What happened once you were up on the... Oh, wait.
What happened once you were in the 3rd floor?
We put Fluffy the guard dog to sleep and completed all the tasks riding the stone. With the level of our magic skills, it wasn't too hard.
What happened after you completed all the tasks?
We entered the room where the magic mirror was standing.
And what makes the mirror so magical?
It can see the dreams inside you and make them appear real. The secret to retrieving the stone was to imagine the stone was in your pocket or in your hand and it would appear there, but for some reason it didn't work.
What happened next?
Well,
Well, Harry Potter entered the room, so I asked him what he was doing there. So he said that he was there to help us retrieve the stone. I told him that he should be in bed and should go back to sleep, but he insisted on helping us.
What did you see next?
Harry Potter looked straight into the mirror and was somehow able to retrieve the stone. Naturally, Professor Quirrell wanted to take the stone from him, but he pushed him away and said that he was going to keep it for himself.
What was Professor Quirrell's reaction to this?
Professor Quirrell was outraged and went over to Harry, attempting to negotiate with him. Suddenly, Harry touched the professor on his face. He must have cast some evil spell because as his hands touched the professor's cheek, his face crumbled into pieces, as if it was made of stone. The professor pleaded for him to stop, but he refused and started striking the face of the professor as it crumbled into millions of pieces.
How did you react to this?
I tried to help him, but it was too late. The professor had died.
Did Harry say anything to you?
Yes, Harry told me the same thing was going to happen to me if I didn't run away.
What did you do then?
I picked up Professor Quirrell's ashes because I knew it would be good as evidence and run.
Do you see the boy who murdered the professor in this room today?
Yes, it was him.
Let the record show that the witness is pointing to the accused. Now, Voldemort, what did you do after you left the room?
I reported Harry to Hagrid, who was sleeping in his quarters. I called the police from there. I gave them the ashes for evidence and Harry was arrested. I brought those ashes here as evidence.
My lady, we would like to submit the bag of ashes of Professor Quirrell as Exhibit 1 in this trial.
Yes, counsel.
My lady, exhibit 1, the ashes.
Thank you, Voldemort. No further questions, my lady.
Does the defense wish to cross-examine the witness?
Yes, my lady. Have you ever killed anyone before?
Yes, but only in extreme circumstances.
Isn't it true that you were a mass murderer? Isn't it true that checking on the Sorcerer's Stone is not a regular activity for both you and Quirrell?
No, it isn't. Professor Quirrell and I have been checking on the stone once every month.
Did Professor Dumbledore give you permission to check on the stone?
Yes.
So are you saying Professor Dumbledore would trust a mass murderer with a priceless item?
Well, he did.
Isn't it true that Professor Dumbledore never gave you permission?
No, he gave me permission.
Isn't it true that you made up the story about checking on the Sorcerer's Stone every month so that you would not have to face charges on stealing a stone in a later trial?
No.
Isn't it true that it was only on this night that the magical mirror had been brought down from the attic to the room guarding the stone?
Yes, but Professor Snape, the potions master at Hogwarts, also a keeper of the stone, told me how to use the mirror earlier that night.
You're a Voldemort spirit, aren't you?
Yes.
Isn't it true that you wanted the stone so you could revive your body within its powers?
Well, yes, it is, but,
Isn't it true that you wanted power so you could go back to your old life?
well, yes.
You wanted a body so you could kill more people, didn't you?
No.
You used magic for evil purposes, isn't that correct?
Well, no.
You and Professor Quirrell were sharing the same body.
Yes.
When Professor Quirrell was killed, was he facing Harry Potter?
Yes.
Was your face on the opposite side of Quirrell's?
Yes.
Then how is it that you could have seen Harry Potter kill Quirrell when you were not facing in that direction? I have no further need for this witness, my lady.
Thank you, Voldemort. You may step down. You may call your next witness.
We call Rubius Hagrid, my lady.
Do you swear the evidence that you shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Say your name and address, please.
I'm Rubius Hagrid and live at Hogwarts Magic Academy.
Hagrid, what happened on the night of November the 3rd, 2019?
It started off as an average night at Hogwarts. After dinner, I went to my quarters to go to sleep. But in the middle of the night, Voldemort woke me up and told me to call the police. He was sweating and looked very terrified.
Did he tell you anything?
Yes, after he told me to call the police, he said that Harry Potter had murdered Professor Quirrell.
Did you believe him?
Uh-huh.
Hagrid, please answer clearly so the court will have an accurate record of the proceedings.
Yes, of course.
Hagrid, what led you to believe him?
The look on his face and the ashes of Professor Quirrell that he showed me. Voldemort has never lied to me, and I trust him with my life.
Thank you, Hagrid. No further questions.
Does the defense wish to cross-examine the witness?
Yes, my lady. Hagrid, how do you know that Voldemort was not lying to you?
Because of the ashes and because he has never lied before.
How do you know he wasn't lying to you now?
Well, I just do.
As gamekeeper at Hogwarts, are there a set of rules you must follow?
Yes.
Are you forbidden to lie?
Yes.
Have you ever broken any rules while at Hogwarts?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes, positively.
Well, in that case, have you met Professor Dumbledore before you began work at Hogwarts?
Yes.
How did you meet him?
I was a student at his school.
Are you a warlock now?
No.
How is that so?
I was expelled.
For what, may I ask?
I was keeping a forbidden pet at my school.
You were breaking the rules by keeping a forbidden pet at school.
Yes.
So at your time at Hogwarts, you have broken a rule, haven't you? Have you ever broken a rule since?
No.
But how do I know if you're telling me the truth? A few minutes ago, you lied.
I'm telling the truth now.
Yeah, as if I'm gonna believe you now. No further questions.
Thank you, Hagrid. You may step down. The Crown may call its next witness.
My lady, I call Professor Snape.
If you swear as evidence, you shall give you the whole truth, and nothing but the truth shall help you God.
Yes,
Say your name and address, please.
I'm Professor Snape, and I live at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry.
Professor Snape, what is your relation to the accused, and is he in court today?
Objection, my lady. That is a leading question. Of course, the accused will be in court.
I will rephrase my question. My lady, what is your connection with the accused?
He used to be one of my top students. Now he's sitting in the accused docket over there.
Let the record show that the witness has identified the accused, Harry Potter. What happened on the night of November 3rd, 2019?
Harry Potter murdered Professor Quirrell.
Objection, my lady. Professor Snape did not see the murder, nor can he speculate, as that is the jury's job.
Voldemort told Professor Snape the facts of the murder.
My lady, that is heresy. Snape didn't see the murder.
Sustained. The jury shall disregard the last statement made by Professor Snape.
How did you hear of Quirrell's death?
Voldemort told me.
Did he tell you anything else?
He suspected that something suspicious was going on with Harry Potter and his friends by looking at them during dinner time, so I decided to keep close watch on them. Today was the day that Professor Quirrell and Voldemort were going to check on the store.
What happened later that night?
While we were walking to my sleeping quarters, I saw Harry Potter and his two friends sneaking into the entrance to where the stone was being held. I decided to follow them.
What did you see?
Harry and his friends were quite impressive. They passed all the tasks guarding the stone.
Did Harry discover you?
No, I was hiding.
How did you keep hidden from Harry and his friends?
I drank an invisibility potion that would last for 7 hours.
Did all of them eventually get into the room where the Sorcerer's Stone was being kept?
No, it was only Harry.
What happened once he was in the room?
Professor Quirrell asked Harry what he was doing there. Harry said he was going to help them, Professor Quirrell and Voldemort, to retrieve the Sorcerer's Stone from the mirror. They said that he should go back to the bed, but he insisted. He looked into the mirror and somehow was able to retrieve the stone from the mirror. Professor Quirrell tried to take the stone from him, but Harry said that he was going to keep it for himself.
What happened next?
As the professor tried to take it from Harry, Harry touched his face and it crumbled into pieces. I think that Harry used some sort of magical spell to do this. With every strike that Harry gave to the professor, parts of his body and his face would crumble up as it was made out of clay. Harry told Voldemort that the same thing would happen to him if he didn't run, so he picked up the ashes for evidence, which was a smart thing to do, and ran. Harry Potter has been getting in a lot of trouble lately. He's always up to no good, especially in my class.
Objection, my lady. The Crown cannot have witnesses testifying to the character of Harry. The defense has not made Harry's character an issue in this trial.
My lady, Professor Snape's comments are just an example of why the professor thought something suspicious was going on.
Objection sustained. The jury will disregard that last statement. Professor, from now on, please do not offer your opinions on Harry's character.
Thank you, my lady. I have no further questions at this time.
Defense, do you wish to cross-examine the witness?
Yes, thank you, my lady. Professor Snape, isn't it true that Baltimore said that he was the one to ask Harry what he was doing there in the room where the stone was being kept?
Yes.
Then why did you tell the court that Professor Quirrell was the one to ask Harry?
I didn't even say that.
Yes, you did say that. And I quote, Professor Quirrell asked Harry what he was doing there.
I just made a little mistake. I meant to say Voldemort. Everybody keeps making mistakes.
You don't like Harry, do you?
I try to remain impartial as I found that this method works the best.
Don't you have a reason to dislike Harry?
No, I don't.
Let me remind you that you are under oath.
I know.
Didn't you know Harry's father, Mr. Potter, when you went to school?
Yes.
Didn't he make a fool out of you? Yes, so you did have a reason to hate Harry because of what his father did to you. No further questions, my lady.
Crown, call your next witness.
The Crown rests its case, my lady.
I now call upon the defense to make their opening statement and to proceed with their case.
My lady and ladies and gentlemen, of the jury, Harry Potter admits that he did perform the act of murder upon Mr. Quirrell, but he did so as an involuntary act of self-defense. I would ask that the following be taken into consideration. Professor Quirrell was performing an extremely sinister deed, and if Harry had not intervened, Voldemort's body could have been revived, giving him the power to kill once again. This act of self-defense has bettered our society. The evidence you will hear today will support these facts and cast a reasonable doubt upon the Crown's theory. We will call Harry Potter, Ron Weasley, and Professor Dumbledore as witnesses for the defense. My lady, I am now prepared to call my first witness.
Proceed.
I call Harry Potter to the witness box.
Do you swear that the evidence that you shall give shall be the truth and the whole truth, but nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
Say your name and address, please.
I'm Harry Potter and I live in the Gryffindor dormitory at Hogwarts.
You may be seated.
Harry, where were you on November 3rd?
I was in Hogwarts Academy.
Can you explain what happened that night?
Yes, I went to explore the Sorcerer's Stone with my two friends, Ron Weasley and Hemore Granger. We snuck into the room using an invisibility cloak given to me by my friend and my father.
Did you manage to get past all the tasks guarding the stone?
Yes.
And were you all able to enter the room where the stone was being kept?
No, only I.
What did you see inside that room?
I saw Voldemort and Professor Quirrell standing beside the magic mirror.
Do you know why the mirror was so magical?
Yes, it can make your dreams appear real.
Did you notice anything odd about Voldemort and Professor Quirrell?
Yes, for some weird reason, Professor Quirrell was talking to Voldemort Master.
Did Voldemort or Professor Quirrell say anything to you?
Yes, the professor told me to look in the mirror and tell him what I saw.
What did you see?
I saw my reflection wink at me and then pull a powerful sorcerer's stone out of his pocket, and suddenly I felt the stone in my pocket. But I did not dare to take it out. I knew something fishy was going on.
What happened next?
He impatiently asked me what I saw.
What did you say?
I told him that I saw myself shaking hands with Professor Dumbledore, the headmaster of the academy.
Why'd you lie?
I knew that Professor Quirrell and Voldemort were after the stone. I'm guessing for more power.
What happened next?
Voldemort told me the truth, but I refused. I tried making a run for it in a second, but the professor had clenched my wrist so tightly as handcuffs. The pain coming from the scar on my forehead was unbearable, as if I felt my head was going to split in two. But in surprise, he let go, looking at my fingers in the pain that was blistering before my very eyes. And the pain from my scar started to fade. Voldemort yelled at the Professor Quirrell to kill me. He jumped on me and clenched my neck with his bare hands. The pain came back again, more powerful than ever. But just as I thought I was finally done for, I saw the professor take back his hand, screaming in agony. His hands were burnt and raw. Parts of him were even crumbling. Voldemort shouted to him again to kill me.
What happened next?
Professor Quirrell raised his right hand to perform a deadly curse, but I thought instinct grabbed his face. He again shouted in agony, and his face was now blistering like hands. And I realized that he could not touch me without suffering a great deal of pain, so I clenched his arm as tightly as I could. The pain was more demented than I ever, and I could hear the sounds of Professor's screams and shouting at Voldemort. Then I blacked out.
When did you wake up?
When I woke up, I was lying down in a bed in a hospital facility beside Dumbledore. I later learned that Professor had died.
Did you mean to kill him?
No, of course not. I was trying to prevent him from killing me and getting the stone. I knew that if he was able to get the stone, the whole world would be in great peril. Lord Voldemort was trying to retrieve his own body instead of sharing a body with Professor Quirrell. Lord Voldemort is evil and would kill many people if he got a body.
Objection. The witness is characterizing Lord Voldemort.
The witness is merely stating the truth about Lord Voldemort.
Objection sustained.
Thank you, my lady. I have no further questions.
Crown, do you have any questions for this witness?
Yes, my lady. You knew you were in a lot of trouble for breaking the rules. That's why you wanted to kill Professor Quirrell, wasn't it?
Not at all. He was trying to kill me.
Harry, if you didn't intend to kill the professor, then why did you clench onto his arm instead of running while he was distracted by his pain?
I thought if I tried to run again, he would capture me like he did the first time I tried to run.
You just wanted to use the stone for your own purposes. Isn't that correct?
No, I was trying to keep it from Voldemort.
You could feel the power of the stone and you wanted to keep it, correct?
Well, no, but I thought Voldemort was up to something.
Do you have any proof that they were going to use the stone for evildoing?
No.
So you just used your instinct to determine whether or not the stone was going to be used for good or for evil, or if they were ever going to use it at all, right?
Yes.
I have no questions, my lady.
Counsel, please call your next witness.
We call Ron Weasley.
Do you swear the evidence you shall give be the truth, the whole truth, and but nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
Say your name and address, please.
Ron Weasley. I live in the Gryffindor dormitory at Hogwarts School for Witchcraft and Wizardry.
You may be seated.
Please tell the court your relationship to the accused.
I am one of his two best friends.
How is it possible how is it that you became one of his best friends?
I met him on the train ride going to Hogwarts on the first day of school, and ever since then we've been good friends. We have a lot in common.
Tell me what happened on the night of November 3rd, 2019.
Harry Potter, Hermione Granger, and I all went to the Sorcerer's Stone.
Why'd you want to see the stone?
We were all interested in what it looked like when we had limitless powers.
Were you able to get past all the dangers and traps by the stone?
Yes.
Were all three of you able to enter the room where the Sorcerer's Stone was being kept?
No, after the last task, I was too weak to move, and Hermione stayed with me to make sure I was okay. However, Harry insisted that he go alone. We wanted to go with him, but he forced us to promise not to go after him. But the temptation was too much. Hermione and I drew up the courage to follow Harry.
What happened next?
Hermione and I hid in one corner of the room where we could see everything that was happening.
What did you see?
I saw Harry look into the magic mirror and reach into his pockets. I could see a faint glowing from it. Professor Quirrell and Harry were exchanging words, but I couldn't make out what they were saying. I saw Harry make an attempt to run, but the professor was too fast. He grabbed Harry's wrist. Suddenly, I saw Professor Quirrell's hand blister and crumble like rocks as he screamed in agony. Voldemort was screaming over and over again to kill Harry. I could hear this because Voldemort was screaming at the top of his voice. But every time the professor tried to touch Harry, his skin would burn. Harry, in self-defense, clenched onto the professor's arm before he could put an evil curse on Harry.
What happened next?
Hermione and I ran to get help. We both shouted to wake everybody up. Dumbledore heard our cries and we gave him a brief story of what happened. We made our way down the room where we found Harry lying on the ground unconscious in some of the ashes of Professor Quirrell's. However, there was no sign of Voldemort. The stone was found in Harry's pocket.
Thank you. I have no further questions for this witness on me.
Crown, do you wish to cross-examine this witness?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Good morning, Ron. You say that you could not make out what Harry and the professor were saying to each other. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you cannot prove that Harry did not say that he was going to keep the stone for himself. Is that true?
I know Harry, he wouldn't do such a thing. Besides, Voldemort was telling the professor to kill him.
You only know that because you're his best friend and you don't want him to be convicted, do you?
No, it's the truth.
You don't know what happened after you left. Is that correct?
Yes, it's correct.
Thank you, Ron. I have no further questions for this witness.
The defense calls Professor Dumbledore.
Do you swear that the evidence you shall give me the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God. State your name and address, please.
I am Professor Dumbledore. I live at Hogwarts Magic Academy.
Professor, what is your profession?
I am the headmaster of Hogwarts Academy.
What is your relation to Professor Quirrell?
He was one of my closest friends.
What did you see on the night of November 3rd?
I saw Professor Quirrell and Voldemort trying to murder Harry Potter and trying to steal the Sorcerer's Stone.
Allegedly that they were attempting to steal the stone and murder Harry Potter.
I watched the whole thing happen through a special crystal ball in my sleeping quarters. I use it to make sure that all the students are safely in bed during the night. I check each and every room at night. I was checking on the sleeping quarters Harry's section, which included Hermione Granger, Ron Weasley, was the last area I had to check. To my distress, I found that neither Harry, Hermione, or Ron were in their beds. I looked around the school through my crystal ball, which took around an hour, considering how big Hogwarts is.
Did you eventually find them?
Yes,
Where did you find them?
they were on the 3rd floor in this room that was forbidden to all students. It was where the Sorcerer's Stone was being guarded. I saw Harry in the middle of the room with Professor Quirrell and Voldemort. Hermione and Ron were hiding in the corner of the room where they could not be seen. But I didn't know why Voldemort and Quirrell were there. Only Professor Snape checks on the stone.
What did you see next?
I saw Harry with the stone in his pocket. He had retrieved it from the mirror. Unfortunately, I cannot hear through the crystal ball, so I could only make out what Professor Quirrell was saying to Harry. Harry tried to run, but Quirrell seized him by the wrist and tried to choke Harry. Fortunately for Harry, every time Quirrell would touch his skin, it would burn, because Harry was pure of heart. This is what protected him from Voldemort and Quirrell.
What did you do next?
As soon as I saw this, I ran up to the 3rd floor of Hogwarts where Ron and Hermione met up with me and they told me the whole story. When we went back to the room, this is where the stone was. Quirrell was dead. Harry was unconscious and Voldemort was gone. My crystal ball recorded the first half of the incident. I have brought it here as evidence.
My lady, we would like to submit this videotape recorded by Dumbledore's crystal ball as exhibit number 2 in this trial.
Yes, counsel.
My lady, exhibit 2 of the tape.
One more question. Did you ever give Lord Voldemort or Professor Quirrell permission to check on the stone?
I did give Professor Quirrell permission, but he was not supposed to be down there at night. However, I would never trust Voldemort with anything. He killed Harry's parents. He's a mass murderer. I didn't even know that he was here.
Objection. Professor Dumbledore cannot speculate as he is not an expert.
Sustained.
In that case, I have no further questions.
Yes, my lady. Dumbledore, is it true that you were only able to see part of the incident happen?
Yes, I ran downstairs to the 3rd floor to help Harry after I saw Professor Quirrell trying to choke him on the ground.
So you don't know what happened after you ran downstairs, do you?
I only know what happened when I was told by Ron and Hermione, both of whom I would trust with the Sorcerer's Stone.
No more questions, my lady.
Thank you to Professor Dumbledore. You may step down. Does that conclude the case for the defense?
Yes, my lady.
Thank you, counsel. Are you prepared to begin closing statements?
Yes, my lady.
We are, my lady.
All right, you may begin, counsel.
My lady and ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Harry Potter has admitted to committing the act of murder upon Mr. Quirrell, but he did so as an involuntary act of self-defense. You have heard both Professor Dumbledore's and Ron Weasley's testimony today. The testimony supports one conclusion. Late one night, Harry and his friends went to examine the Sorcerer's Stone to see what it looked like after completing all the guarding tasks surrounding the room where it was being held. He and his friends eventually were able to get into the room. Once inside, Baltimore and Professor Quirrell forced Harry to retrieve the stone for the magic mirror and give it to him. They were going to use it for evil purposes, and for the benefit of themselves, Harry, however, refused to give the stone to them. In the process of preventing them from getting to the stone, he involuntarily killed the professor. Professor Dumbledore and Ron's testimonies support each other, ladies and gentlemen. As my lady will soon direct you, ultimately must decide whether or not their testimony should be believed. It is in the defense's submission that on the evidence you have heard today, you may come only to one conclusion, that these men are telling the truth, that Baltimore, along with Professor Quirrell, were not checking on the stone, but trying to steal the Sorcerer's Stone, which is the rightful property of Hogwarts Academy, and that Harry killed the professor involuntarily. But even if it is not clear, ladies and gentlemen, and even if you doubt a little that Harry did not kill the professor involuntarily, or that Baltimore and Quirrell not attempting to murder Harry or steal the stone, you must still acquit, as my ladyship will explain. The Crown is responsible for proving beyond reasonable doubt that Harry did not commit murder involuntarily and did not have the right to do so. It is the defense's position that the Crown clearly has not made out of this case. On all evidence you have heard today, you can come to only one conclusion: Harry committed second-degree murder as an act of self-defense to save all humanity from the ultimate peril. Lord Baltimore, Harry is innocent of any crime and should be free of any charges. Thank you.
Crown, you may proceed.
Thank you, my lady. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it is the Crown's respectful submission that we have clearly met our case, and that the evidence you have heard today, Harry Potter is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of committing second-degree murder. Considering the Crown's evidence, ladies and gentlemen, it is clear that Harry committed murder in the second degree on Professor Quirrell. He testified today that he did not murder the professor. Not for one moment, however, did he think about the effects of him holding Professor Quirrell's arm too long would do. He said that he did not believe he would kill Professor Quirrell. This is because he reacted with instinct and didn't stop to think first about what the consequences would be. These are the actions of a killer, not a future wizard. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, that concludes the evidence to be heard in this matter. It is now time for your deliberations. You must determine whether Harry is guilty or not guilty of committing second-degree murder. As you may recall from the beginning of these proceedings, I outlined each of the elements that the Crown must prove beyond a reasonable doubt in order to succeed in their case against Harry. I will now take a few moments to discuss each of these elements and the evidence related to the charge against Harry. You should have little difficulty deciding whether the Crown has met the first three elements. Identity, time, and place all seem clear. Lord Voldemort identified the accused today. You also heard witnesses testify that the murder occurred on November 3rd on the 3rd floor of Hogwarts Academy, as described in the indictment. Another ingredient the Crown must prove is that Harry Potter murdered Professor Quirrell. You will recall the evidence of Harry in which he admitted that he murdered the professor and exhibit number 1, the ashes of Quirrell. The other ingredients the Crown must prove is that Harry killed the professor wrongfully and intended to kill him. In deciding these issues, you should consider the following evidence. Exhibit number 2, the tape, showed that Professor Quirrell assaulted Harry and that Voldemort encouraged him to do so. Defense claims that Harry killed Professor Quirrell as means of self-defense and Harry had no criminal intent. Crown claims that Harry did not think of the consequences regarding Professor Quirrell, but rather acted on instinct. I remind you that the Crown must prove Harry is guilty of second-degree murder beyond a reasonable doubt. You must return a verdict of not guilty of the offense of second-degree murder if the Crown has not proven this beyond a reasonable doubt. You may retire to the jury room for deliberations. When you reach a unanimous verdict, just inform the sheriff. He will tell me that you are ready to return to the courtroom for the purpose of announcing your verdict.
Wait, okay. Order in the court.
All right.
You may be seated. Mr. Registrar, has the jury reached a verdict?
They have, my lord, my lady.
Sheriff, please bring the jury in.
Madam Foreperson, have you reached a verdict?
Yes, we have. We, the jury, find the accused Harry Potter not guilty of second-degree murder.
Members of the jury, hearken to your verdict. As the court does not record it, you find the accused Harry Potter not guilty. This is your verdict. So say you all please stand to confirm your verdict.
Members of the jury stand. Say your verdict when it wasn't. Everybody stand at the same time. Not guilty.
1, 2, 3.
Not guilty.
You may be seated. Harry Potter, you are free to go.
Court is adjourned.
Court is now adjourned.
Jackie Gavel.